Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, kings and queens, princes and princesses, dinner ladies, and the Andy Man. Welcome to the Alex Bloodfire stream, streaming live across YouTube today for the next hour or so. I just wanted to say a massive thank you for everybody watching, and to everybody who watches later, and to everybody who picks this stream up on other platforms. There's quite a few other platforms that it's on now. People are picking this up on quite a few other things. So I would a big thank you for watching. A big thank you for all the likes and all the comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. Please keep those likes and comments and follows coming in. Please watch. Really appreciative. Right. So tonight we are chatting about the language erasure of women. So we're talking about women erasure, which is quite serious. It's getting bad, pretty serious actually, yeah. And it's how women, lesbians, gay men, and actually everybody is being erased in the name of gender theory. But the war on women is fierce, and lesbians, because lesbians are women, but biologically born males are definitely not women. So, but today we're going to talk about really the war on women's language and the women erasure. So gender neutral language is far from neutral. It's diversive and being forced upon us to deliberately erase the adult human female. The term pregnant people, birthing people, and people with uteruses really reduce women to sexless people. Women's dignity and respect are being stripped away, even as we speak, with this diversive and so-called gender-neutral language. It's appalling, and any women out there that are supporting this, I don't think you realise what you're supporting. You are supporting Asia for a men's rights movement, really. I mean, these trans. It's partly a men's rights movement. It's not a women's rights movement. The trans lobby is not a women's rights movement. It's solely a men's rights movement, and you're allowing these people to do that. So you need to think about what you're doing, and gay men particularly. Who are standing by whilst allowing their gay rights platform, which has been hijacked by the trans lobby, to attack women like you know like this, really. You should wake up and speak out, because all the mess that the trans lobby is inflicting on our society, on our women, on our children, we'll have to sort all this out in the future. This has all got to be sorted out. This isn't going to go on forever, where you're going to argue with me and I'm going to argue with you, and you're going to try and silence me, and you're going to do all the things that the silly trans lobby have done, and are currently doing. This is going to have to be sorted out at some point. And if gay men have sat by or they're complicit, your platform will never be trusted again. And let's face it, one of the things that we can all agree on is that gay rights in the UK and the Western world are going backwards, even now. Expect things to get worse, because people are losing trust in you. They gave you privilege. They gave you the right to marry. They gave you the right to adopt. And now you're just trying to destroy the very fabric of our society, or you're allowing a trans lobby on your platform to do it. You'll never be trusted again. Your rights will go backwards. People are fighting back, and more people are fighting back. This isn't about hating trans people. This is about hating a gender theory ideology that really is just rubbish, that's silly. So what I would suggest, is that you speak out. What I would suggest is that you don't allow, a trans lobby to use your platform to do the things that they're doing. I mean, we've got the Tavistock of horrors. We've got women's sports. We've got children being indoctrinated at school. The many detransitioners are now speaking out against the horrors of what happened, what is happening to them. The lawsuits are coming. Okay, this is all on your platform. You need to wake up. And all this is coming in plain sight for everybody to see. The mess, the harm the trans lobby have caused on your platform. It will get worse. More women are getting angry at the consequences of what is happening to their sports. More women will speak out. More guys like me will speak out for them women, who are having their sports ruined by biologically born men who think they're entitled to ruin their sports. More parents are getting angry at the indoctrination of their kids in schools. You know, we're seeing it more and more. I've just tweeted out actually, or GETTR'd out on my GETTR platform as well, that now there's 4,000 schools in America that are teaching gender ideology. We've just had a case in Wales where they've tried to make they've tried to bring emergency legal proceedings to stop 3-year-olds from being taught gender ideology. This has been done on your platform. You need to wake up, gay people, because if you don't stop this, nobody will ever trust you again, and your rights will go backwards, because they're already going backwards now. You can see that. So we've got more cases coming to light now where teachers have affirmed a pupil's gender behind their parents' back. You know, it's terrible what's happening. Teachers are not qualified to deal in gender, okay? Yet they're taking it upon themselves to affirm children, their pupils, behind their mums and dads' backs. You know, this is wrong. It's wrong. It's terribly wrong, and parents are going to fight back. Parents are not going to allow you to do this to their kids. You know, so you need to wake up. You know. So we've got more heterosexuals, men, who are fuming over the trans women coming onto them. We've got a lot of heterosexual men who are fuming over trans women coming onto them, and they're having to knock them back. And they've been accused of transphobia simply because heterosexual men don't have sex with men. You know, it's simple, but it's happening, and it's happening a lot. And more guys are speaking out. More guys are being sort of caught out. The heterosexual guys are not going to put up with this, and they're blaming your platform. They're blaming gay people for this. You know, so it's time. You know, if you're gay and you're out there and you're speaking up for the trans ideology lobby, you need to think again. You need to wake up. And one of the things that I think is very, very sad is that our little girls are losing their toilets at school in the name of gender ideology. To gay men out there, does that make you proud? Stealing little girls' toilets? Because it's been done on your platform, you know? So you need to speak out and get the trannies, the transgender lobby, okay, off your platform. You know, you need to do it. You know, so if you are a gay man who's recently been who has recently been trans peaked, please let me know in the comments, or you know, let me know how you were peaked. Let me know what peaked you, but do speak out against this sort of horrible nonsense, because you know, gay people deserve rights, and you know, but the fact is that unless you get this trans lobby off your platform, you're not going to be trusted in the future. People are not going to trust you, you know, and they're going to fight back. And that is what I'm seeing now. I'm seeing it more and more across a lot of social networks, you know, a lot of social platforms. People are fighting back. You know, you need to wake up. So the erasure of women, it's really escalating. We've got every day the gender lobbies campaign of erasing women reaches new levels of absurdity. Oh, goodness me, I got my lips all the wrong way around then. So it reaches new levels of absurdity. Okay, the NHS and other national health services across the Western world openly erase women, and women just seem to, you know, a lot of you are not speaking out. I know there's a lot of reasons why you can't speak out, but we all need to speak out against this stupidity, you know. But the NHS and other national health services are the ones that are really disrespecting women. They're regularly running campaigns and calling women birthing people who bleed, people with a cervix. This is offensive. You know, this is erasing women. This is disgusting, and this shouldn't be happening. And we do need to stop it. Women need to get outraged more, and there's a lot of women out there that are outraged. There's a lot of women that are angry. I speak to them all the time. But your language is being erased, and it'll be erased forever if you don't speak up. If you're one of those that thinks I'm not going to say anything, you know, once your language is gone, it'll be erased forever. You know, you'll have a right job getting it back. You know, the gender lobby will win, and more absurdity will prevail. if you don't think it's bad enough for you to speak out now, it will get worse. I'm confident that something will pique you later on, and next time round we'll definitely get you. But it's probably time that you saw what was happening now, because it is pretty bad. It's pretty shit. So the gender lobby never really ceases to amaze me with its crass tactics. So if you're sitting by watching vulnerable children, teenagers and young adults having their breasts amputated, castrated, their insides ripped out and medicalized for no other reason than to appease a gender lobby, then you need to ask yourself why. You need to ask yourself what you stand for. You need to ask yourself who you really are. Hello, Amy. For the minute when you weren't on, I thought, is it Wednesday today? And I thought, oh yeah, they've emptied the bins today, because they empty our bins on Wednesday. Yeah, it's definitely Wednesday, but joining, much appreciated. The topic today is women erasure. Thank you for the jacket, it just fits. Yeah, thanks. I been on the diet now. Hopefully I'll be able to wear this a bit more, because it didn't fit me, but now I'm starting to able to get into it, so yeah. that's brilliant. Fantastic. So again, thank you for joining me. I had some chips earlier in the frying pan. I had only a few chips, and I'm still on my slim fast diet, so yeah, there we go. And I'm just going to have a drink of my drink. It's a little bit of an energy drink, a caffeinated to keep me going. Yeah. Yep. If the lean slight to the tie, I can. Yes, there you go. That's the tie. So this is a goldish tie. Yeah. I thought it'd match the crap backdrop behind me, so yeah, I thought I'd do this one. But yeah, there we go. So carrying on. Okay, I was going to say too many mistakes are being made in this gender ideology. Too many young people are waking up. Nice. I got nice gold tie. All works well. Looking very smart. Thank you. I thought I'm absolutely hot because it's a really hot day. But thank you. That's really thank you. Nice compliment. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah. Okay. So I'll start again on this so that everyone can understand where I'm coming from. So to many young people, they're now waking up to the realization they've just made the biggest mistake of their lives, but it's not really their mistake at all. It's the adults who should have known better. Every week I go on Twitter, another vulnerable person speaks out about the horrors that have happened to them at the gender clinic, a clinic that they went to for help, but instead of getting the proper care they needed, instead of the clinic providing care, okay, which is what they're supposed to, they we've got these gender clinics which really are appeasing a gender lobby. They're bowing to pressure from a gender lobby, so they were quickly rushed on puberty blockers, then cross-sex hormones, then amputations of their body. Too many mistakes are being made because these so-called adults, these so-called medical professionals, are not providing ethical medical care. These so-called adults are allowing themselves by big pharma and allowing themselves to be pushed by a trans lobby who cares not about the victims this is leaving behind, but their profits, So do you trust the doctors and medical staff amputating healthy breasts from girls and castrating boys who wake up and realize the horrors of what's happened to them later? Do you really trust these people now? You know what I mean? Because I really have concerns about what's happens in the pediatric industry, in the medical profession, when this can happen. This is a big medical scandal that's been allowed to happen, and it shouldn't really have been allowed to happen. Yeah, so that's so I've got moving on. Okay, in the information below I've got a petition and crowdfunder to bring to everybody's attention, again, both of which are in the information below. Okay, so please be kind and sign this petition to support the women in the Australian prison who have bravely created a petition to have a man removed from their jail. Its title It's titled "Demand the Removal of Men from Women's Prison in Victoria," because it's in Australia, Victoria. But so all I can say is well done to these Aussie women for fighting against this nonsense that's been cruelly inflicted upon them. I've signed the petition, I've shared the petition, and I'm asking everybody out there to sign and share to just help these women and create awareness of it, create awareness of what's happening in women's prisons. It's really awful, that males are invading women's prisons and women are really suffering. I know that they're in there because they've committed a crime, but they're not in there to suffer, of what these biological males are doing in women's prisons. It's, we have prisons should be segregated by sex. This is what was fought for many, many years ago, and this what's happening is disgusting, and it shouldn't be. Secondly, I wish to remind everybody about LGB Alliance's crowdfunder. I've shared this crowdfunder across so many social network platforms on a regular basis to ensure that people are aware about what's happening, to encourage people out there to donate if you can, but for them to share this important crowdfunder, because this is not just an attack on LGB Alliance. This is an attack on lesbian, gay and bisexual people from a flimsy and dirty charity that support the sterilization of vulnerable children, and that's Mermaids, if anybody didn't know what I was talking to. LGB Alliance speak out about this crap, and we really need this organization to help stop this nonsense, to help women, to fight against language erasure. So please do at least share the petition if you can afford it. They have actually generated quite a lot of money. I was actually looking at it, and it's 160k they've already donated. They want $250,000. But they've actually got quite a lot of it, which I'm really pleased about. But they are really needing a little bit more. So if you can, please do. And yeah, I mean, share the petition with the crowdfunding, because that's really sort of important. So moving on, okay, back in May this year, the UK government announced that it will be rewriting guidance on drafting legislation to ensure women and girls are not erased by gender neutral language, which I think we're already discovering is not really as neutral as what people think. This was regarding a maternity allowances bill, which originally referred to a pregnant woman as a person rather than a mother. It's appalling, you know what I mean? It's appalling for people to say instead of a mother to just say, oh, a person. It's making women just sexless. It's making women just nothing, you know what I mean, when they do things like this. So thankfully the government did act on that, but let's bear in mind that there are many deluded trans activists out there that are hell-bent on giving actual women a hard time and aggressively campaigning to remove all language, to erase women from the face of the earth, if you like. And that's why people need to speak out or support the people that are speaking out. There needs to be more people speaking out about this. Women don't deserve their language to be erased. So please do speak out. Do support the people who are speaking out. And more to the point, if you see something like in the NHS that are raising women, complain about it. You don't stay silent, because they will get away with it. These trans activists are very, very aggressive. They're very deluded. They're not going to give up. You know what I mean? So please do speak out. So if you're a woman who is supporting these trans activists, this is not about hating trans people. These trans activists who are pushing a trans ideology, an agenda to erase women, you really need to think about what you're doing. Please do not support these people. And I don't think there's that many of them about. I just think the vast amount of people do not agree with this, but they're not speaking out. There's very few trans activists about, but the fact is they're very vocal. They're very vocal on Twitter. They can easily, materialize into a gang anywhere where they want, you know what I mean? But I would say the majority of people do not agree with what they're doing. Nobody can agree with what's happening to our children. I don't believe it. So I think the majority of people don't, but the majority of people do need to speak out. It's like when sports were being that female sports is being invaded by, you know, biological males who are taking the prizes, who are getting access to places that they shouldn't be getting access to, and that's female spaces. They really and truly are such, you know, there's an agenda here that needs to be stopped, you know. So, you know, nobody agrees with this, you know. People don't agree with it, you know. The majority of people don't agree, but the majority of people to start speaking out. I'm so pleased that America and even Australia and everywhere other than Turf Island are starting to come to a realization of what this gender ideology is doing to society. And I'm so glad that people in America are speaking out, people in Canada are speaking out, people are in Australia. It will get more, but please do support these people and please speak out yourself, because we really do need to stop this behavior from trans activists. We really need to get back to where we were. We need to remove this gender ideology out of our governments, out of our education, out of our companies. It's really horrible what these trans activists have done to everybody. They're ruining the very fabric of our society, and we need to fight back, and we can only do that with more support. So please, you know, clearly you don't agree with males taking over women's sports. Clearly you don't agree with the indoctrination of children at school. So please do speak out. If you cannot speak out for fear or for work reasons, you again support the people that do it. You can write to your MP, you know, you can write to the government about your concerns that you have within, for example, the NHS erasing women. You can help, you know, you can write to the NHS, you can complain to the NHS, but it's, you know, you can campaign yourself to the government. But there's a lot of people are speaking out now. You can support those people that do. You can also do what many trans activists are doing and be anonymous on social media. There's no reason why you can't be anonymous. A lot of cowardly trans activists do hide behind cartoons and come out with their ridiculous things that they do. And I find that a lot on Twitter, but I think a lot of bots. I don't believe that people with an handful of followers are actually human beings. They're more like bots. And they, you know, and as we know, Twitter have got a considerable amount of bots, which we may find out how many bots Twitter have actually got with the court case that's happening, you know, with regard to the buyer that didn't buy Twitter, Elon Musk. I can't wait to see how that case pans out, but at least we'll find out how many bots are on Twitter, and it might be a little bit more than what people were expecting, really, because we all know that you know, it's not full of people on there. There is a lot of bots that are going on. So yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, there you go. So if you want to speak out, you can be anonymous too. You can get an anonymous Twitter account. You can start, you know, spouting out. If you don't want to, you know, you don't have to, but we do need more, you know, we do need support, because the majority of people, as I say, don't agree with all this rubbish, this trans ideology rubbish. But we do need to speak out, because trans ideology is and trans lobby are making ground. I mean, we're making ground back, but I don't think we should be complacent. I don't think that because there's several sporting bodies have kicked biological males out of, you know, their sporting activities, you know, they're such as rugby and triathlon. I think we've got to, you know, we've got to keep it up, you know, because at the end of the day, we've got trans activists that are trying to, you know, reverse that decision. And if we don't keep it up, if we don't speak out, if we don't campaign for what's right, you know, then, you know, we could lose it again. So please do support us. We do need support. Us GC people, that's gender critical people, we do need our support. But if you've got any examples of women's language that's been erased in the workplace, your health authority, your kids' school, no matter where you are in the world, please do get in touch. My DMs are open on Twitter and GETTR, and I'm willing to expose it. Don't let backward trans activists erase the language of women. You know, speak out. You know, speak out about it. Let's expose, you know, what they're doing. Let's expose who is erasing language, for instance, or let's expose, if you've got a biologically born male in your gym, if you've got a biologically born male that's in places that they shouldn't be, and when I say the gym, I mean, that's working in the women's toilets, like we've recently in America, it's not right. Do you know what I mean? That males shouldn't be in female spaces. I mean, that's this, and I'm really interested to know why we've got a rush of trans people who want to work in and do their sports in women's spaces. It seems to be a big push for it. So if wherever you're in the world, like I say, my DMs are open on Twitter and GETTR. Let's expose this crap. Let's not sit by and let biologically born males wreck the very fabric of our society. Trans activism is a men's rights movement. It's designed to bring women down. If you don't know that, it is. And let's face it, it is exactly what we're seeing. It really is the truth. It is very simple. A trans activism is a men's rights movement, which has been designed to bring women and their rights down. I mean, it is, it's simple. And we can see that. The evidence is out there now. I do hope that everyone out there can see that too. So, okay, so I'm going to move on now to get on to the latest and breaking news on what's happened across the world on the topic of gender theory ideology. So I wanted to start in the United Kingdom. So we've got disgusted parents have launched an emergency legal action to stop compulsory gender classes for 3-year-olds and above. I find this absolutely disgusting. But you see, when people say to you, well, they're not indoctrinating children with gender ideology and gender classes, well, they are, because they're doing it in Wales now to 3-year-olds and above. This is 3-year-olds are being taught about gender ideology. It's disgraceful. So this compulsory sexuality and gender classes are due to start in schools in Wales. It will be embedded by the Labour run. Now that should sound alarm bells for you, but this Labour-run government are going to bring this into day-to-day teaching for 3-year-olds. They're going to bring this into to the schools for 3-year-olds to teach gender ideology. It's unbelievable. So who says that vulnerable kids are not being indoctrinated in schools? Of course they're being indoctrinated in schools. The evidence is here. This is happening. And we've got parents launching an emergency legal action to stop compulsory gender classes for 3-year-olds and above. So they are indoctrinating our children. This is happening, and we do need to fight against it. So like I've said, please do speak out, support the people who are speaking out, and complain. We need to stop our children being indoctrinated with this rubbish. And all that this will do is that more kids will be confused about their gender. That's more kids attending the gender clinic. And if trans activists, mermaids and Stonewall have the way, that's more kids on puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and, well, surgery. So we really do need to, speak out. We really do. I mean, a lot of people are speaking out. There's a lot of parents are disgusted about this, and quite rightly so. But we need to speak out. We need to stop this. I mean, what's happening in Wales is unbelievable. I don't know what's happened with you guys in Wales, but we don't want this bringing over into the English border. I mean, actually, it is happening in our schools, but I mean, we've got a Labour-run government. It is a Labour-run government. That's it is unbelievable, what Wales are doing. So, let's speak out, let's complain. And I do hope that this legal action does something to stop 3-year-olds being taught about gender. This is sick. It is disgusting. This is not doing anything for the LGBT rights movement. It's not doing anything for the LGBT anti-rights movement, because all it's doing is getting parents to hate you. Okay, it's getting parents to hate this movement. It's getting parents to express, what this platform is, what the LGBT anti-platform is. Take my advice: get this T kicked off your LGBT platform, because if you don't do that, okay, there's worse to come. This is disgraceful. absolutely disgusting. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, you know, with this, as I say, it's going to run into more kids attending the gender clinic, more healthy breasts are going to be amputated from vulnerable girls, more castrations from vulnerable boys, more body amputations in the name of trans medicine. And you know what this means? That's a trans medicine, you know, really? And you know what this means? This means more detransitioners who have realized that they've made the biggest mistakes of their lives. Or rather, adults have made that mistake for them. Adults who should know better have made that mistake for them because they're the ones who are indoctrinating them with a silly gender ideology to kick them off to the gender clinic. Doctors are pushing them all the way through. I'm going to have a drink. Thank you. Yeah, so this is the reality of what's happening. If you start teaching gender to 3-year-olds, there's going to be a lot of confusion. And this is what's happening. So, you know, if you don't speak out, that's more kids that are going to be harmed. So if you're willing to stay silent and let a trans lobby push this crap, then it's going to be more kids that are going to be harmed. We need more people to speak out. Right. So one thing that really haunts me, and I think this will stay with me for the rest of my life, actually, is even a victim of this big medical scandal, because that's exactly what it is. But and brought on by these teachers, brought on by these schools who are going to indoctrinate 3-year children. Okay, it's so a victim of this medical scandal who went through who went for help basically in their distressing time of their life, and I'm sure most of us have had a distressing time in our life, but instead of help was incorrectly misdiagnosed, quickly put on puberty blockers, then cross-sex hormones, and had unnecessary body amputations. And the victim said, and it really rung through me, where they said, you know, why were these people allowed to do this to me? And that's a question really that I'd like the medical profession to answer too. Why did the medical profession do that to that person? You know, because this is not just one, you know, this is one person that said that, and this is it's the thing that really, oh, it just really affects me. But there's many people, there's many children and many adults that have had this done to them. Why did the medical profession do this to them? Maybe the medical profession can answer. You know, why did you do this to innocent people? You know, do you feel proud about wrecking the number of lives you have? Because we're going to see quite a few detransitioners coming out. We've seen quite a few detransitioners coming out now. There's going to be more and more on the way when people wake up to what you've done to them. Why didn't you heed the many warnings given over the many years from whistleblowers, activists, and medical professionals? Why? You know, do you really actually care about kids to give them the unnecessary drugs that you did, that made them sterile, that made the drugs that are irreversible, and surgeries that clearly ruin their bodies? You know, do you actually care for the kids whose lives that you ruined? That's just what I wanted. Do you actually care for those kids when you're prescribing these drugs, when you were sending them into surgeries, you know, when you were performing the surgeries? Did you actually really care for those children, or was it just the job? You know, it's just a job. Because I really wonder, you know, about all these medical professionals that have done this, and suddenly, you know, it's just not very good at all. So yeah, I mean, we talking of victims really of a medical scandal which should never really have been allowed to happen, and it was because of, you know, the gender, you know, lessons that are going to be in the Welsh schools that are aimed at 3-year-olds from 3-year-old, you know, and this is where it's going to start. It's going to be worse. You know, you talk to 3-year-olds about gender, they're going to be confused about the gender. You know, this is terrible. It's terrible what's happening to Welsh kids. I mean, it's terrible what's happening to all kids across the Western world, but it's what a silly thing to do, to force this nonsense on 3-year-olds and above. It's horrific. But moving on, in Australia, we've got another lawsuit of a brave young woman who is suing the psychiatrist over a gender transition, which is certainly hit the news in Australia. Well, I say it's hit the news. I mean, somebody's taken the story, but she's suing a psychiatrist. This is, I know that in Australia there is going to be a few lawsuits if for this stupid, you know, what's happened to people. But yeah, that is one that's that was highlighted today, and I really wish this brave young woman the best of luck through the disgust of what's been, you know, of what's happened to her, because this shouldn't have been allowed to happen. You know, adults should have stood up and said, you know, we don't need to do this. But we've got a trans lobby that are pushing this crap. It's the trans lobby that are causing this. They have done this. So if you're supporting this trans lobby, you need to think again on what you're doing. I've read the article of this brave young woman. It can be found both on my Twitter and GETTR feed, and it makes for an absolutely devastating read. So be warned. It's really devastatingly horrible. It makes me feel sick to think that adults have done this to this girl, and yet they've done it to so many people. It's just horrible. It's unkind. You know, the people that are doing this are cruel, and they're not nice people, to be quite honest. They know, you know, it's like the medical professionals that are working in these gender clinics. They know the damage they're doing, and it's up to them to speak out. If you need to, if you yourself have been harmed by gender clinics and these psychiatrists and so-called medical professionals, don't let them get away with it. If you need details of how to sue against a clinic or a doctor or a psychiatrist or whoever, my DMs on both Twitter and GETTR are open. I do have contacts. I'm not saying I'll be able to help everybody in every country, but if you want to sue, don't let these medical professionals or so-called adults get away with it. You know, expose what's happened as well, and get, you know, get justice. You know, you need to get justice. So it's like I say, you can contact me. I can try and help you as much as I can, but don't let these people get away with it, because what they've done is terrible. I don't care. People shouldn't be bowing down to an horrific trans lobby who are just really cutting children up and cutting young people up as well. They're doing, you know, it is happening to children. It is happening to very young people. It's happening to mentally ill people and very vulnerable people. And they're bowing down to a trans lobby that are pushing this horrible, disgusting medical scandal. You know, that's the only way. The only way that this can be described is that they're pushing a medical scandal, which is now being seen. So please do speak out, and you know, do sue the people that did this to you. Don't let them get away with it. So we're moving to America now. Okay, the United States of America. The Independent Council on Women's Sports, ICONS for sure, that's ICONS for short, is calling on people, I think across America, but likely across the world, to oppose the Biden administration's current attempt to erase women from their hard-won title, IX Civil Rights Protection. I personally oppose what pensioner and dangerous trans activist Biden is doing to women and children in the gender clinics, and highly condemn his unnecessary, undignified, and unjust attempt to erase women from their hard-won title, IX Civil Rights Protections. So please do speak out about that. You know, yeah, I mean, please do oppose. If you know, I don't know what you know, I'm not really sure why Biden has decided to launch a war on women, but he certainly has. He's a deluded man, determined to wreck the hard-earned rights of women. I can't believe what he's doing. I mean, you know, half the population, and he's trying to ruin their rights. And it's time now, and I'm glad I'm seeing more and more women in America speaking up. Okay, but what this guy is doing is disgusting. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of women? I mean, what do you think of President Biden just, you know, trying to destroy Title X or Title IX Civil Rights Protection? I mean, what a horrible man, you know. I mean, I remember on Pensioner Biden's first day in office, His first executive order was to strip women of their rights. Biden is no friend of women. He really isn't. I'll be glad to see, I think America will be glad to see the back of Biden, but I certainly will be glad to see the back of Biden so that America can move on, so that women's rights can move on. But I think Biden's making a mess of everything. But again, he's no friend of women. So, you do really need to speak out about this. Can we call him a president? Yeah, because he is an unfortunate president. But, like I say, and I'll leave it at that, Biden is definitely no friend of women. Right, so moving on again in America, Dr. Andrew Fox, who was Austin's fire chaplain until he opposed biological males in women's sports, which cost him his job, he's now suing. This is another court case against pernicious gender ideology, against okay, and it's another embarrassment to the trans movement who have invaded the gay rights platform, because many people are watching what's happening. Like I've said before, and like I'll say again, gay people need to wake up quicker, because if you allow this disgusting behavior to be spouted out from your gay rights platform by deluded anti-women trans activists, in the future nobody will trust you. So if you're gay and you're supporting this man who's been sacked because he simply said, you know what I mean, because he's simply gone against biological males in women's sports, okay, people will not trust you. It's simple. That's how it works. I mean, he's going to sue. He may win, he may not, but he's highlighting a can of worms. He's highlighting something. He's highlighting something very serious, that he's been sacked because he thinks that men shouldn't be in women's sports, which is what the majority of the world think. So you need to get these deluded anti-women trans activists off your platform, because if you don't, that platform will never be trusted again. You need to speak out, and you need to speak out sooner rather than later. Because when gender theory is removed from schools, it's the LGB who will get the blame for it if we don't act. When the full horrors of the Tavistock come to light, I mean, at the moment, people are trying to pretend that nothing happened, which I find horrible. I mean, children have been cut up and there's a lot of mistakes have been made in there, and people are pretending that nothing happened. But it will come to light. Eventually, everything will come out, what's happened, quite big, and it will all be out there. And I'm afraid that it's LGB people who will get the blame, because it's been done on your platform. When all sporting bodies have finally come to their senses and stopped giving biologically born males a platform to cheat and full access to women's changing rooms, showers and toilets to perv, it's the LGBT community who will be blamed for this, because it's your platform it's being used on. It's been spouted out from. So if you are in the LGBT community, it's time you spoke out now, or lose your platform and lose your rights. And let's face it, gay rights are going backwards, and gay rights are going backwards because people are upset at what's happening in women's sports. People are upset when they go to the Marks and Spencer's changing rooms and they're allowing males in female changing rooms. People are upset because of them indoctrinating their children with gender ideology across the Western world. Parents are not going to put up with this. People are going to continue to speak out, and the platform for the GCs, okay, of people who are going to be gender critical, is going to expand and expand and expand. Okay, LGB Alliance's numbers are going to go up. We're going to get all these platforms that are supporting women's rights, that are supporting child safeguarding, and LGB rights are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make is that if you don't speak up, okay, now, and you carry on supporting trans activists, it's LGBT people that will get the blame, and it's your platform that people will be very nervous of when they finally do get gender ideology out of schools. I mean, Section 28 was not a particular nice thing that came into schools, where nobody was allowed to talk about, LGB at all. But if you carry on indoctrinating 3-year-olds, or the trans lobbyists, should I say, carry on indoctrinating 3-year-olds, okay, Section 28 will be brought back in, because Nobody wants a child at 3 years old indoctrinated by gender ideology. I predict that if Wales gets its way, and it has, I predict there's going to be a massive upturn in children that are confused about the gender, because it's just nonsense has been pushed on them. You know, it's really, really silly, and something definitely needs doing about this. And I really do support the parents that are suing, and I really hope they win. Right, so I mean, it's highly likely that the world's population think that women that biologically born males, however they identify, should be in women's sports. I think the majority of the world know it's wrong, and I think they're not going to agree with it. They're not going to support it, and we saw that with all the with the big two matches, the Lia Thomas and the New Zealand one. I mean, there were so many people opposing it because nobody agrees with this rubbish. So speak out. I find it odd to believe that most of the world's population don't agree with Dr. Andrew Fox. I think actually the majority of people will agree with him, or a good percentage of the people agree. We all know what's right and wrong. I don't think the majority of people believe that biologically born males should be in women's sports. I think it's just the trans activists, which but unfortunately they have got a very loud connected platform. And they've got the LGB platform that they're spouting it off, and that's a big problem. The truth is that the trans lobby need to be kicked off the LGB platform as soon as possible if you want to keep it. So I'm very sorry to Dr. Andrew Fox being removed from his job because he believes in science, dignity for women, and fairness in sports. I hope he wins his case. There's no reason why he shouldn't win, but trans activists have got their vile finger in the law system these days, so we never really know which case is going to go which. But for somebody who loses the job because they think that men shouldn't be in women's sports is, I can't see how he can lose, but we'll see. But like I keep saying, that males, however they identify, do not belong in women's sports in any circumstances. It is cheating, it's undignified, it's sexist, overrated, and it's clearly not safe at all. So I'm going to go on to my GETTR, see if I can find anything on there that I missed. I'm sure that I did, but yeah, again, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Oh, what we got here? So right, okay. Let me get on my but let's thank everybody for watching, whatever platform you watch it, whenever you watch it. Thank you for watching it. Please do like and subscribe to my channel, or whichever platform you're watching this on. Yep, so let's have a look. I think I mentioned it before, but I'm going to give it another mention. So radical gender theory is now being pushed in more than 4,000 US schools. And my question again is, who says that our vulnerable kids are not being indoctrinated with gender theory? They clearly are, and they are clearly being confused. This is what's creating this pandemic of children that are confused about their gender. It's never been, I mean, in all the thousands of years that human beings have existed, it's never been a case, and now all of a sudden it's a massive case, and this is solely the reason. It's solely the reason that gender classes for 3-year-olds. I mean, this is disgusting. It's wrong. So yeah, we've got that. So again, please do help the LGB Alliance to keep the charity status. They are fighting for women's rights. They're definitely fighting for child safeguarding, and for LGB rights, to keep single-sex spaces, which is what Stonewall and their ilk are trying to do. Well, trying to screw that up for everybody. So that's that. And then we've got the petition. Mind of the petition. So please do sign the petition, which is in the information, and so is the LGB Alliance. Actually, it's in there. But if you please sign the petition to support women in an Australian prison who have bravely created a petition to have a man removed from their jail. Housing men in women's prisons is a human rights violation. I thought it was against the Geneva Convention, but I think trans activists have managed to get around that. How, I'll never know, but there we go. That's the one thing I was wanting to look at in sports. So we've got Sandra Davison, okay, the mother of Ailey Davison. I think she should, well, I know she should shut up and respect women's sports and stop throwing actual women under a bus. Biologically born Hailey Davison doesn't belong in the ladies' professional golf. It's wrong. It's unfair. And I stand with Judy Murray. That was Andy Murray's mum who spoke out about this golfer trying to get into the was it the women's golf, wasn't it? But the ladies golf association tour or something, they wanted to get in. Yeah, so I stand with Judy Murray on that. I think, you know, Judy Murray speaks sense. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, I mean, Sandra Davison should shut up. You know, stop throwing women under a bus. Sandra Davison, you know, you're biologically born male person doesn't belong in women's sports. You know, however he identifies now, he doesn't belong in women's sports. And if Ailey Davison had any ounce of respect for women and their sports, Ailey wouldn't continue the fight to invade the Ladies Professional Golf Association tour, because Ailey's Davison's participation in female sport is wrong on so many levels, as we all know. You know, go in the men's category, you know, just go in the men's category. Something I picked up slightly off the subject, but it's not actually slightly off the subject, but Twitter has warned staff. So this is on the Twitter platform, the one that locked my account for 6 months, to which I'd done absolutely nothing wrong. I have accepted a violation to which I've done nothing wrong. But this is the Twitter has warned their staff their bonuses will be halved of what they're expecting after the platform, which suspends, bans and locks accounts of the many, has suffered huge losses. I mean, you know, I'm starting to think that companies are starting to not advertise on Twitter now. I think that they're thinking, you know, I mean, some of these people that would have advertised on Twitter are probably suspended. They're probably banned. They've probably had their account locked. So I think this is where things are sort of falling back on Twitter now. And I think this is where Twitter deserves what they're getting. I mean, you know, Jack Dorsey's tried to ruin our freedom of speech. Jack Dorsey's tried to silence people. Now, I know Jack Dorsey isn't the CEO of Twitter anymore, but, you know, Jack Dorsey's played a big role in silencing people. It's played a big role in kicking women off the platform who spoke out about men being in their spaces, men being in sports. There's a lot of things you're not allowed to say on Twitter. Otherwise you'll get banned, suspended, or kicked off the platform. I mean, you know, I think it's very silly. I mean, you know, why can't we say that? Why can't we say that men shouldn't be in women's sports? But, you know, if you misgender somebody, apparently that's a crime on Twitter now, and you can actually lose your account for that. So I think this is really where companies are thinking, well, you know what? I'm not going to advertise on Twitter. I'm not going to spend any more money. I mean, I haven't advertised on Twitter for many years, but I won't advertise on Twitter again. I mean, they've kicked me off the platform. They've kicked a lot of my friends off of Twitter, or suspended them or banned them. Twitter routinely kick anybody off, really. They kick a lot of people off. There's a lot of gay men being kicked off Twitter. A lot of lesbians have been kicked off Twitter. A lot of religious people. I mean, you know, you can't believe that. You know, they're kicking religious people off. They're kicking everybody off. I mean, it's, you know. So I think this is coming back to bite. I do think the Elon Musk affair is certainly going to cause a lot of problems for Twitter. I don't think, and I've said it from day one, I don't think Elon Musk should buy Twitter in any way, and I don't think he intends to. But it'd be good to see how many bots are actually on Twitter, because we all know it's not what Twitter have said it is, which is quite interesting. Moving slightly on to boxing, it's great to hear that the World Boxing Council have banned biologically born males, however they identify, from female competition on the grounds of safety and fairness. Yeah, I mean, fancy having, a man boxing a woman. That's not fair, and that's it's safety. There's safety that needs to be taken into consideration. I mean, you don't have many team women. I mean, that would just embarrass the sport. So well done to the World Boxing Council. I don't know how men ever were allowed in women's sports, and let's say biologically born males, however they identify. I don't know how they were allowed in women's sports in the first place, but I'm glad that's been taken off. I'm glad that biological males have been kicked out. Now, no, they're not banned from playing. They can play in their own category, but you see, they won't play in their own sex category because, of course, they were mediocre in the first place, so they're not going to win. You know what I mean? So there's no point in playing in their own category they're supposed to be playing in. Then we've got the Festival of Dangerous Ideas, who are standing by a controversial professor, Joanna Bork, who calls sex with animals society's last taboo. I'd really picked up on that, and I stuck it on my GETTR account because I think that's absolutely disgusting. I mean, this is like bestiality. This is like people having sex with animals. I mean, this is disgraceful. It's unacceptable. What is wrong with these people? I think Joanna Bork said that things, she said that it had been looked in the wrong type of way. She hadn't meant it like this. Well, how are you supposed to mean this, Joanna Book? And I've seen a tweet from 2 years ago which very clearly is discussing sex with animals. So sex with animals isn't the last society, isn't society's last taboo. It is disgusting, and people responsible should go to prison. I think it is a criminal offence to have sex with animals, and so it should be. Animals cannot consent, not as though they'd want to go have sex with humans. I mean, how disgraceful. Right, so think we've got one thing. So we've got the lecturer who's taking BIMM Limited to an industrial tribunal after being sacked for doing her job, and that was caring for students and encouraging critical thought. She was sacked for suggesting that drag acts were a gross caricature of femininity. I kind of think, well, yeah, I mean, they are. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that was but to be sacked for saying that is appalling. I think I might have mentioned that on the last stream, but there is actually a crowdfunder for Kathy on crowd, but that's on my GETTR. If you find it, it's not on YouTube. Anyway, that is all I've got time for. So the next stream is on Saturday, the 27th of August at 7 p.m. Turf Island. Somebody's mentioned that we might be a good idea. It may be a good idea to discuss the attacks on LGB Alliance. I might get that set up on Saturday, so we might have a little bit of a chat about LGB Alliance and all the silly attacks that's happening to LGB Alliance, simply because the trans lobby want to cut our children up. They want to trans our children. They want to indoctrinate our children, and, LGB Alliance speak out about all this nonsense, so I can understand so a little bit, upset, but LGB Alliance are here to stay. They're a fantastic organisation, and perhaps we will discuss them. Thank you, Amy, for joining me. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good evening to you as well. Take care, and thank you for everyone else for watching. I know there's been one or two people in and out today, and I know people platforms. Please do, like, follow, and please join me on Saturday at 7 o'clock Turf Island time. Thank you, everybody. Bye, Amy. If I can end it, so bye.